Hello, this is John Sayce, host of the weekly podcast, Half-Truths and Whole Lies. Have you ever been at a super boring dinner party? And the way I get it cranked up, it's not by handing out drugs or singing a song. It's by drumping the T word, Trump. If I say I voted for Trump in a group of people, it's like I dropped a bomb. And everybody starts getting agitated. Oh, how can you? He's a womanizer. He's a fascist. You're an idiot. My God. What a way to get the party going. In this episode, we're going to explore the idea of a potential mental illness known as Trump Derangement Syndrome, TDS. And we're going to follow it up with a little bit on the not so well-known TIP syndrome, Trump is perfect syndrome, where they justify everything he ever has done, whether they disagreed with it before or after. So that is what we're going to do in this episode with my co-host, Carl Sayce.
Hello, this is John Sayce, host of the podcast Half-Truths and Whole Lies, and with my co-host, Carl. Carl, how are you doing?
I'm awesome, John. Go tell somebody else. I want you to say, Carl is awesome every time you meet somebody.
Okay, well, I just thought I'd say from all the, letters from the ladies out there, they love your voice. They believe you're a handsome man, and they haven't even seen you. I'm thinking that I shouldn't let your wife hear this because she would be extremely jealous. And I can see you. I think you're a handsome man, but it doesn't count.
I think your listeners are very astute.
I don't want to talk about my listeners in a negative way. Okay, so today in this podcast, we're going to go over Trump Derangement Syndrome and Trump is Perfect Syndrome and talk about those briefly from our points of view. And then we're going to have call-in about these ideas, and we'll kind of respond to those call-ins. So let me go over what I believe Trump Derangement Syndrome is, and Carl can, he can say a few things if he wants. Trump Derangement Syndrome is when people seem to fundamentally overreact in a crazy way, or just everything from heart rate increase, adrenaline rush, eye rolls. I know you do this a lot. Doom scrolling of people. And some people need to, for some reason, bring up the electoral college like Trump shouldn't have won. And posting on social media at the weirdest hours, like 2 a.m. Oh, Trump is not normal. Okay, there's a bunch of, so people get kind of riled up. And I'm going to give you one anecdotal evidence that I heard from Minneapolis. A woman that was pinned under a car in an accident, and she was thinking she was dying, and this bystander comes up, this man, slight man, and she goes, "Oh, I'm dying. My last wish is I wish I could have met Trump. I love the man." And the guy freaks out, this skinny little dude. I think he was 140. Hey, all of a sudden becomes Superman and lifts that car up off the woman she pulls out. And then he starts berating her for being a Trump advocate. I couldn't believe this story until I heard it. And that's my view of Trump Derangement Syndrome. And I'll let Carl, my co-host here, talk about what he thinks Trump is a perfect syndrome.
Well, Trump is perfect syndrome. I like to call it TDS, just to throw it back at John. It's Trump Devotion Syndrome. And what it is basically it's obsessive compulsive behavior, where you worship someone for whatever reason.
So you're saying it's a religion?
It's kind of like a religion. If you notice that the real MAGA people are usually very conservative Christians, not say always, but a big chunk of them.
So you think
they're looking for the supreme being to solve their problems.
And you're saying it's not God?
Well, God's on one side and Trump's on the other, I guess.
Oh, man.
It's their new son of God.
Oh, my God. Wow. That's treading into like blaspheme territory, but I know you. You're a good Catholic boy that's just brokenhearted and kind of left the thing. And he's trying to figure out his way back. But anyway, what is the examples of Trump devotional syndrome? Is it similar to the reaction that people get with Trump derangement?
No, your example, it's hard to believe. I tried to research it, couldn't find any real good evidence that it exists. I'm just trying to figure out how a 140-pound guy lifted a car. But
what about the heart rate and all that kind of stuff? Do they get all jacked up?
Whenever anything comes up that's negative about Trump, they basically classify it as fake or a conspiracy to do bad to Trump for whatever reason. Like there's a reason you got to really dislike somebody that's unethical and immoral.
So one of the things, one subtle difference, and you might not agree with this, not really a subtle one, is I think the people that have Trump derangement syndrome are slightly prone to acting out in a more violent or aggressive way. Most conservatives, just to be honest, they might say a lot about Trump, maybe they are devotional to him, but I don't see them usually, incidents going out and being aggressive and protesting, it's not their way. What do you say to that?
Oh, well, they don't protest because they have the government on their side at the moment, but they do verbalize violence in many ways. Trump himself wanted Senator Kelly to be executed or hung for basically
the video
speaking out on illegal orders.
So you're saying there is some examples of sort of violent
examples. I actually think there's more violence on the right because protesting isn't violence. This reminds me so much, and I wasn't even a few years old then, but if you read the history of the 60s and other protests against the wars and stuff, protesters try to instigate the police or the law enforcement that is there, whether it's ICE or whoever, to get a reaction out of them. Police have the right, to be that aggressive. Thought that kind of went away as we advanced as a culture, but now it's come back. Now the police have more rights than the citizens, which is a little bit scary. Yeah. But I disagree. I think the only reason you don't see violence, and how can you say you don't see violence? Do you forget January 6th?
I tend to. Well, let's.
Oh, I forgot the godlike guy. He pardoned everybody, so they must be innocent.
They must be. So let me just say that fundamentally, it seems to me that we both sort of agree that it's just like two sides of the same coin. Or could say there's more violence and aggressiveness on the left, and you can say there's more on the right. And also the reaction of people is very similar, and maybe in an opposite way. So
I still think it's a compulsive disorder where you're so obsessed with an issue or topic that you behave badly.
Yeah, and honestly, we've talked about this in the background, but there's only been a couple actual, we'll say, psychiatrists that indicate that there is such a disorder. I think there's this Jonathan Alpert guy, but it has never been classified. Most people think it's just political extremism on both sides. We'll just say there's not tons of psychiatrists that would say there's a disorder. There's a few push that.
I just want to remember I pointed out the term came about during the Bush era, Bush Derangement Syndrome, and they liked it so much they picked it up for the Trump and made it Trump Derangement Syndrome. It was keyed by a psychiatrist that was actually a political writer. Like I said, a little tongue-in-cheek, trying to,
TIPS is my acronym that I came up with. I couldn't find anything, but I do know that it is discussed. It's just not used that way. So, Fox News tends to have the Trump Derangement Syndrome, and, MS Now or whatever the hell they're called has probably something about Trump devotional, but they don't call it that, I don't know what they call it.
They don't call it anything, John, because they have good arguments. They don't have to use the ad hominem. They don't have to attack people personally. They just use logic and arguments.
Wow, that's usually against what you're saying. Just sorry. That feeds into my argument.
I'm just saying that using Trump Derangement Syndrome is a way of attacking people without actually discussing the topic or the policy.
I think we should have a poll about who's more logical, you or me. I think it's obvious, but hey. Okay.
I'd like that poll, but
I could put.
I'm worried about the sample.
Okay, so with that, why don't we head on to the call-ins and see, because I think we kind of set the stage of what we think both syndromes are. We're going to have the call-in segment. And so our first call-in.
Hello, this is a narco-terrorist calling from Colombia. When I hear the word Trump, I start shaking in my boots. It's kind of radical. I am scared. I keep thinking a missile's gonna hit me right up the butt. Is this Trump Derangement Syndrome? Can you tell me?
Carl, I'll let you react to that because you love missiles, not up the butt. But Carl, what do you say about that?
Okay, I do like a good missile. What do I say about that? I say if you want to classify it as Trump Derangement Syndrome, you can, but you have a rational reason. It's more, I would say, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah.
You've seen all your boat drivers get blown out of the water.
Yeah, I think it's a fear of Trump. That's
a fear of Trump, but you have a good reason to be afraid of Trump because he's blowing people up around you.
Now, I
would just stay away from speedboats loaded with cocaine, and you'll be okay.
I did get some background on this by calling up Pete Hegseth. He said that this was the lone survivor that floated in on a raft of cocaine bales, and he was high when he hit shore, and that Maduro picked him up personally.
That's good. That basically validates my explanation.
Okay. I agree with you that it's fear here, and if fear is Trump Derangement Syndrome when you hear the word Trump, then it is. I definitely don't believe this guy loves Trump. Okay, so let's go to the next caller.
Hello, I'm calling from Dallas. I was going into my favorite gay bar, the Diesel Oil, hunting. And I walked in there with my great looking Trump watch, the gold one that's a collector's item from my favorite president. And I went up to the bar, put my arm out the bar to order something. And two guys next to me and the bartender about freaked out. What the hell is wrong with you, son? And that guy whipped out a knife that he used for limes, and he said, I'm going to cut your arm off, boy, unless you get your butt out of here. This is a gay bar that's very progressive, and you are weird. Is this Trump Derangement Syndrome?
Okay. Maybe I'll react to this first and you can be the second reaction. Well, first of all, I'm impressed that the guy has got this watch. I don't know how much it cost. I don't know if it's $30 or $3,000, but I heard it's got like a little Trump with a, Mickey Mouse hand pointing around, the dial as it goes. So this is pretty impressive that he even has one. But it's kind of weird that a progressive individual is wearing a Trump watch. So that's very unusual. But I do think some people would react to jewelry on you. I think I brought up again in the background that somebody I know personally wouldn't wear Trump earrings because she would get so much flack. She was a teacher. Now, what do you think about that? I think this is a little bit deranged, that the guy would threaten him with a knife.
Well, John, I kind of think, here's my analogy. What do you think would happen if a guy walks into a Jewish restaurant and he's got a swastika tattooed on his wrist?
A swastika tattooed on his wrist?
And he walks into the Jewish restaurant and lays his arm out, and there's this swastika. I think there'd be some upset people in that restaurant. They might not threaten him with a knife.
Oh.
They'd probably paint him with one of those Israeli lasers and let Netanyahu take care of him.
I think they just give him some unleavened matzah or whatever that stuff bread. It's so hard to eat. And he would probably not go to that restaurant anymore.
The point is dude, you got to be aware of your surroundings. You know what I mean?
That's probably true. Yeah, I think one of these guys with a tattoo on his neck, you're right, or something, might not do so well in a Jewish restaurant. I probably agree with that.
Yeah, it's like walking into prison with your LBGT t-shirt on, you know?
Or walking into prison as, being a child molester, those guys get.
You don't want to advertise certain things in certain environments.
That is true. So I think this is a little deranged, the reaction, but I could almost imagine it to some degree, not with a knife, but if the guy walked in with Trump watch and Trump earrings, maybe he has little earrings too, he might get called out on that.
Well, it's no different than he'd be refused service, which is no different than refusing service to gay people for a bakery to bake a wedding cake, which was a whole lawsuit down somewhere in the South in recent years. So.
Yeah, sometimes you make some really good points. I mean, yeah, you take it. I'm taken aback.
Okay, I mean, there's certain when let's not digress from the call in.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
Hello there. I'm a big guy calling from my apartment in D.C. And whenever I'm in the bedroom and I utter the words Trump, my wife really gets agitated. She starts sweating and getting all nervous and excited. And I mean, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I guess I want to thank Trump, but for this, it's better than the blue pill. So is this Trump Derangement Syndrome or some other mental disorder?
It's obviously a mental disorder.
I'm crazy.
But there's actually a thing called celebrity worship syndrome, another obsessive addictive disorder where
So
the interest becomes very uncontrollable.
So you think the sweating and getting a little nervous that her heart rate was up?
Well, it's not like me. She got turned on. I guess maybe sweating and heart rate is part of that.
The only part I don't think she's doing is talking about the Electoral College and rolling her eyes.
I advise the person that it could be Trump devotion syndrome or TIPS, Trump is perfect syndrome. But I'd just use it for all it's worth until it wore out.
That's right.
Hers or yours, either one.
Because you really don't know whether the woman is getting agitated by Trump derangement or Trump devotion, right? You don't know. This one can go either way.
Well, he said it was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Well, I'm thinking referencing the woman though. What was she doing? I don't know. This is kind of like it's what I call bi. Either way.
I was assuming it increased her libido.
Anyway, I don't know if we agreed on that one or not. I think some way we did something
Well,
about
it's TDS one way or the other.
That's right, the way you do it.
However
like
you want to
that.
flip it.
Yes. Like a fake coin.
Our next caller is from the city of Hard in Core County, Texas. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, I'm an Army Ranger, and I went into my local diner this morning, the Pork Butt Sawmill, and sat at the bar with the stool and ordered my corned beef and biscuits. And I wondered out loud, I said, man, I can't believe Trump is putting National Guard troops into these cities to do police action. That is against the rules of military engagement in the U.S. And this lady looked at me and said, you fool! Don't you know that this is a Trump haven in this damn diner? You are a blatant idiot. No, IDIOT for an army, dude. Don't you know that the National Guard can be placed in there when there is enough criminal activity to warrant it? What is your deal? If you don't get out of here right now, I'm going to call over my friends and we're going to sing the Love Trump song. Love Trump, love you, man. Everything you do is okay. Now get the hell out of here. Now, this is my view. I was shocked. Is this Trump is perfect syndrome?
Yes.
And what do you think about this whole issue about Trump putting National Guards in, and this lady saying that was fine if there was enough criminal activity? What is your view on that?
My view on that is seems to be targeted towards cities that are run by Democratic political organizations. So it's a targeting method.
Legal?
I think it's legal under a certain state of emergency, which are legal, but Congress can declare it's not an emergency and stop it if they want to. They haven't wanted to. I think a lot of them are afraid of any backlash they get from their base constituents.
Now, one thing to counter that with the blue state, red state thing, I thought he put in Louisiana, he put the National Guard into one of their cities and they all cooperate.
Which city?
I forget
New
the
Orleans?
one. It was somewhere. No, it wasn't.
There's only New Orleans and Little Rock, not Little Rock, New Orleans and
I thought it was Louisiana. It was one of those southern cities.
Baton Rouge.
It was one of those southern cities. He put them in, and they cooperated with him. So, yes, I agree that 90% of the cities he's targeting are the high crime cities, which most of them right now are run by Democrats. But he also put him in a high crime city, I think, in a red state too. But at least that's my belief. You basically say it's kind of almost legal. It's sort of legal, depending on the situation.
Well, I think the Emergency Powers Act needs to be rewritten. It's something that autocrats have done around the world, either to cancel elections, which they can't be used to cancel elections in the United States, according to the law. But it's a way of suppressing people. I mean, people go, oh, they're going to come out there. They're not stopping them from voting. But, people get scared. They don't want to be out in the street when... Now, the National Guard has actually behaved very well. I also think it's not a good position to put National Guardsmen in. I worked in the reserves and worked with the National Guard. They're not really trained for police action. You can give them a briefing, but, that's like trying to train somebody how to shoot a weapon in one round. Here.
Yeah.
Here's the safety, here's the trigger. Point it that way and shoot. I mean, you're not going to get a well-trained police officer out of a National Guardsman.
I guess to point out I think the National Guard, as you said, hasn't really done anything too negative in any of these deployments. It's more or less the ICE guys that are really getting the negative stuff, right? The National Guard has been fairly benign in what they've been doing, right? I mean, I haven't heard of any National Guard incident with these cities at this point, right? I don't think so.
So, getting back, it was Memphis.
Oh, it's Memphis?
And the governor's Republican and the mayor is Democrat, but the mayor initially opposed it, but he then agreed to work with him. He just saw the writing on the wall. It's a fairly Republican state legislature.
Yeah, so anyway, not a lot of negative activity actually occurred there. So,
yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about the National Guard deployments.
It's been mostly...
If I was the National Guard commander and was ordered to do it, which I would go do it, I would basically tell my guys, avoid conflict at all costs.
I would agree. Yeah, I agree with that. So anyway, this is an example of, in that particular diner, which there are places like that, just like other restaurants are progressive, couldn't say anything about positive about Trump and expect to not get someone to speak to you about it. So anyway, I think this is Trump devotional syndrome on the woman's part, or Trump is perfect syndrome. Okay, our last caller, I believe.
This is Gary from Idaho. I'm a normal guy, and, I'm kind of run-of-the-mill in my viewpoints, and I'm sort of disgusted with Trump because he keeps bringing up the idea that Canada should be the 51st state, like they're a bunch of yahoos or whatever you call them up there. I know they say A lot and they drink Molson, but other than that, they're fine, nice, polite people. Why does he keep saying he'd make them a 51st state? He'd swap Maine for Canada. Who knows what he's been saying. Also, this Greenland push. Why do we need to take over Greenland when they're going to give us everything they have anyway? So I'm a normal guy trying to figure this out, and my wife, however, her name is Adora. Adora is like Trump fixated. Oh, that stuff he's doing with Greenland and Canada, that's fine. These guys have abused us for too long. Canada's given us bad cow milk and I don't know, whatever, some rock band. Maybe that's about it. I don't know anything else Canada's given us. In Greenland, all they're giving us is ice. I'm saying that's ridiculous, Adora. You just have what is called Trump is perfect syndrome, no matter what he does. So that's what I'm asking about. Is this an example of Trump is perfect syndrome?
So, first of all, I actually personally agree that why the hell is Trump slamming Canada all the time? And the rhetoric originally, I think, started with he didn't like
Nice hair Trudeau.
the little guy. The guy that had blackface and all that. He never really liked that guy, so it was part of that. But why he keeps pursuing it, well, Canada has been a good partner with us in many things, including auto manufacturing, lots of stuff. And Greenland has too. I mean, we have bases. We can set up the military any way we want there, from what I know. So I'm not clear why the hell Trump is actually pushing this, unless, Carl, you have some idea.
Getting back to our previous podcast, I'm not sure if you published that one about Trump being in Putin's back pocket. He couldn't destroy NATO just by defunding it, because then they started funding it themselves, Basically did what he wanted by increasing military spending. So he's like, maybe if I just seize a piece of property that's owned by NATO, I can break up NATO.
So you're saying it's a ploy to break up NATO? He doesn't even care about Greenland?
Yeah, probably. He's just,
So that's...
here's what I really think about it. When he gets some thought stuck in his head, he always doubles down. He never says, it wasn't a good idea. He just keeps pushing it until there's some kind of conclusion. Kind of like the Venezuelan thing. Keeps pushing it. Then he realizes, well, hell, we're not really going to invade there. I don't have the support for that. So if I snatch Maduro, I can say we won.
Well,
so he's kind of waiting for something to say he won. And Greenland, if he pushes and pushes, maybe something happened. Is it a ploy to break up NATO? No.
I really don't know what the reason is. It's almost like I think a lot of things Trump does, he does way over the top, and then people then settle it in some way he believes to the U.S.'s advantage. You know what I mean? Like the tariffs were like way crazy in terms of the excessiveness of them, and then he pulls back to a certain point. There might be some strategy here, which I don't get. Okay, that I'm not aware of. The idea here, whether this lady has, she's given this guy grief on what I think is a fairly reasonable response by him, and she does have Trump is perfect syndrome. Yeah. I mean, there's no way she's not. This is one where you really have to be a Trump advocate, really deep down, to think that this is a good thing. At least that's my view. And I'll just say there's some of his stuff I like, some of it I don't. This one I don't quite get. Any other comments on this?
I was just looking up any Trump allies that have actually voiced a disagreement with this.
Or support. Is there anybody who's voiced?
Most of them have been quiet. Most Republicans in the Senate have just been quiet.
What about other countries? Other country?
Other countries supporting it? And not really. I mean, I read an article where they really think it's to the benefit of Putin because it's creating discord in NATO and.
Oh, so you think this gets back to Putin has dirt on Trump, which I did publish.
Maybe, but I'm not really totally sure. I think he gets an idea. I don't know what the hell got into his head, man. He saw an intelligence briefing where there was some ship off of Greenland outside the whatever territorial waters that was Russian or Chinese, and it gets in his head that they're trying to take over Greenland. And so that thought is stuck. He voices it, and then he never backs down. Has he ever backed down and actually said, "Oh, I was wrong"?
He's backed down, but not say he's wrong. He's backed down on some issues, but never, on Trump or on tariffs and different things. But he tends not to say he's.
Well, he's been, they gave him the nickname Taco. Trump always chickens out.
But not on everything. It's just it's
tariffs. He backed away on a lot of the tariffs once he realized, they're creating inflationary pressures.
Right, but he didn't back down on the Maduro thing, and he didn't back down on the Israel or Iran thing in terms of like taking out their nuclear. So there's some things he's backed down on, some things he hasn't. I think even though Trump's not a drinker, I still think he wants Greenland for the ice. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe there's like nice ice up there. It's got a certain texture. Maybe it'll go good with I don't know, what is it you get at McDonald's? Coke? Diet Coke?
So Diet Coke. That's all he drinks is
Diet Coke with Greenland ice. That's probably why he really wants it. He wants a big storehouse of it.
Well, that's as good a reason as he's given.
As the host, I will give you my take first, followed by my co-host take. Now, my views are based off facts and logic. Carl, on the other hand, his views are based off innuendo, exaggeration, and hearsay. So take his with a grain of salt. Now, my take is yes, Trump Derangement Syndrome is real. People get cranked just by the sight of the orange-haired man, and I'm not talking about using drugs like cocaine. Their blood pressure goes up anytime you mention Trump. Boy, it is amazing. And they start getting aggressive. So if you're in a conversation, watch out. They might attack you and they'll go, I can't believe you even discussing this. He is a fascist, Nazi, womanizer, liar. He is so evil. Oh, he's an evil man. Anyway, they can get aggressive. So it's sometimes hard to even have a logical conversation. Now, on the other hand, there is people that have a very devotion to Trump and believe he's perfect. He can say anything and they'll back it up with whatever logic they choose. Now, I do think that Greenland, which is 80% ice, has excellent ice, and that I would love to have some of that perfect ice in my scotch and soda or even my Diet Coke. But I don't think that's justification for invading Greenland. No, I don't. It's my take whether you like it or not.
My take is pretty much the opposite. It's not really Trump. There are some people that I won't say deranged, and they may get violent. The guy that tried to shoot Trump. Derangement means you're crazy. You get people that don't want to talk about Trump. You're not going to get an 88-year-old Jewish man to talk about the positive things Hitler did for Germany, are you? So Trump, it's just that he has such a long history. If you've actually studied him and read about him, everything from when he was doing business and just how he cheats at golf, it's a huge pile of evidence. The devotions ignore or say is fake. No matter how many times you go, well, look what he did here. Look what he did here. How does the man change? The devotionals just, oh, no, he's, whatever he does is good. And I think the opposite. I think that the only reason you don't see violence on that side, they're pretty much in power now that he got elected, so they don't have to protest. He's doing what they want. And the people on the Trump derangement that hate Trump so bad, it's just because they probably have a obsessive compulsive disorder. Hopefully it's temporary, and he doesn't try to run for re-election. That'll just stimulate it even more. Well, let me do it. I'll just say my take is it's the opposite.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'd like to thank my co-host, Carl. If you want further information, go to halftruthsandwholelies.com. And please listen to the next upcoming bi-weekly episode of Half Truths and Whole Lies, where we seek to find the truth behind all of the lies.